Hey there, it's Shauna. In this video, you will learn how to use planetary hours in order to plan anything that you want on very auspicious times. So I really like planetary hours. I use them all the time to plan almost everything because they're useful when you want to plan something, but you have a very short window of time, or the day that you need to do something is not entirely within your control. And this can be things from scheduling a really important meeting, making an important phone call, scheduling a birthday party, sending, ooh, this is a big one, sending a letter or an email at an auspicious time. It's an email that you want to go well, you want the conversation to go well, the deal to go well, you want to be heard and understand. Sending that email during a Mars planetary hour versus a Jupiter planetary hour can make a huge difference. So I want to share that with you today. And like I said, it's something that I use to plan nearly everything that I do. And first, what is planetary hours? You may have not heard of this. It is the concept of hours in the day being associated with all of the different planets. And so this was something that was set up a very long time ago in ancient astrology. And I want to say that we can plan things based on the moon phase and the moon sign. If I have a lot of leeway, I'll tend to go with the moon sign versus planetary hours. So that's really important, but this is more like if you're looking within a day, or again, you're comparing like, should I do it at this time versus this time, when things need to be more specific. So if you're watching this on Patreon, you'll have a little cheat sheet. And this cheat sheet shows that each day of the week is associated with a certain planet. We would say that the day is ruled by that planet. And all that means is that that day or the hour has a certain resonance with that planet. That day or that hour likes the symbols behind this planet. So Sunday is ruled by the sun, Monday is ruled by the moon, Tuesday is ruled by Mars, Wednesday is ruled by Mercury, Thursday ruled by Jupiter, Friday is ruled by Venus, and then Saturday is ruled by Saturn. So this works, we can think of it not in terms of causation, or like the day or the planet or the hour causes something to happen. It's more a concept of synchronicity. And if you've watched me for a little bit, you know that I'm very influenced by the work of Carl Jung and his work on synchronicity. And he found that in his work, in his research, there were instances where an external event did not cause an internal event, or an external event for that matter, but there was a certain grouping that would happen where things would happen in clusters, where you would, I don't know, have a dream of a butterfly, and then you would, maybe it's even a certain color, and then you see a butterfly as you're walking down the street, and it really strikes your attention, and then you see someone that has a butterfly backpack, and like all of these little symbols around butterfly cluster together. Now, this doesn't happen all day, every day, of course. It happens more for certain people. It happens the more that you pay attention to it, I find as well. And so when we use planetary hours, we are tapping into that idea of synchronicity, that idea of grouping, that if I send a letter during a sun hour, sun is about leadership and being seen and being heard and proclaiming something. If I send a letter and I really want to be heard, let's say it's a resume or an introduction letter, I'm grouping that energy with that hour, versus if I were to send that letter, that same letter, applying for a job, let's say, during a Mars hour, it might have, like, it's going to have a different association, because Mars is about fighting. It's about drawing boundaries. And there's more of like a conflict resolution kind of tone with Mars hours. So that's not to say that the letter won't be received well, but we use astrology. One of the many reasons that we use astrology is to harmonize, to to go with that flow of synchronicity, and then to notice what happens. Pay attention to how things show up for you, because the other cool part of this is that your personal birth chart interacts. So for you, if you have a really strong Mars might be a powerful hour for you. So let's see, what else? Oh, so how does this actually work? So we have the days of the week, right? And so it seems a bit counterintuitive. What happens is the ancients, they would split up the day, the 24-hour day, into two different parts, into daytime and nighttime. And they judged this based on sunrise and sunset. So from sunrise to sunset was day. From sunset to sunrise was night. And then they would split up the day and the night into 12 equal parts. And it's really beautiful the way that it works, because every day when the sun rises, it's at a different planetary hour, and it's always at the hour associated with that day. So on Venus Day on Friday, the Venus is the planetary ruler at sunrise. And I have an app that I'm going to show you that I think we might transition to now, because the hours are not exact. So what you can do is you can just look at a little app and it'll tell you exactly when the hours are. There's lots of different apps, but I want to show you one that I have. And so let's see. All right. So this is my app here, the Time Nomad. This is the one that I use because I find it very user-friendly, very straightforward. There are tons of other apps, and I encourage you, if you're interested in this, to check it out. This is just the one that I find helpful. All right, so you open the app, and at the side here, there's a little section called Planetary Hour. And did I miss it? Let's see. Yeah, here we go. Planetary Hour. So you're going to find that in the app. There's a shit ton of other stuff on there that you could use that I don't use on this app. I only use this. So today is Saturday. And so you can see up at the very top where it's dark, where there's that gray. So that shows where it's the night hours. And then we have sunrise is where it changes from gray to white there. So Saturn's day, Saturn is here, the first planetary hour. And so you'll notice here's the times, right? So this is going to vary based on where you are. So when you set up your app, you set up your location. And you'll see the hours are not exact. And that's because what happens is the day and the night, they're split up into 12 equal parts. And then it's split between the planets. So I know it doesn't make a whole ton of sense, but it's more about an art than an exactness within the minutes that we use. So the other part of this that I wanted to show you is that the hours always go in the same order. So it always goes starting from Saturn, from the slowest planet, and then moving down to the fastest planet. And we don't include the outer planets because the ancients didn't know about the outer planets. And it works in a really beautiful rhythm. So it goes from Saturn to Jupiter, to Mars, to the Sun, to Venus, Mercury, and the Moon. And so what's really cool about this is when you use this, you're actually getting used to the order of the planets, you're getting used to how the planets work as well, and just knowing the glyphs too. So, okay, so if I'm planning something today, oh, look, it's Venus hour, how sweet. So if I'm planning something today, and I know that it's something that I want to be received very well in a social engagement way, I would definitely plan it during a Venus hour. Full disclosure, I did not plan the hour, that I just was spontaneously inspired to make this video. So it's actually really cool that it's happening at a Venus hour. So you can look at the cheat sheet for keywords. I don't want to spend too much time on it here. I really just want to explain to you how it is that this works. But I will give you a few little significators. So the most lucky and auspicious times tend to be Venus, Jupiter and Venus for like general lucky times. Those are the two benefic planets. Like I said, if you're doing something where there's an element of recognition or to leadership in there, I would use a sun hour. Mercury is an interesting hour because Mercury is thought, communication. So if you are planning out detailed things, anything where you're sending out a letter, I think Mercury is a good hour to do that. The ones to watch out for are when it's a Mars hour or a Saturn hour. Now these hours, they have their uses. So Mars is all about physical vitality, physical activity. Like I said, it's about fighting for something as well. So I plan as much as I can. I plan my exercise time during Mars because that's a good use of the energy. I try to avoid sending letters or making phone calls or doing any kind of social activity during a Mars hour because it is inherently like there's a certain amount of like agitation and fight behind that. So unless that's something that, you know, you want out of the situation, I don't know, maybe you're planning like an argumentation situation or where you want to like where you want to have a healthy debate with someone, maybe you choose a Mars hour. The other one is Saturn. Now Saturn is tricky because Saturn can be helpful, but Saturn shows where things take time. And so I would not start something or send something during a Saturn hour unless you want it to be associated with things taking a long time or building a foundation. Saturn is associated, yeah, with time, with age, with wisdom. It's a time when if you really want to study and get shit done, that's a good thing to do during Saturn hour when it's like work mode. That's a good Saturn hour situation. So, but again, if I'm doing any kind of social things, I like to avoid the Saturn hour. The moon hour is known for being changeable. So I also try to avoid sending out things or planning things during a moon hour because the moon moves in cycles, it changes, it ebbs and flows. And so the nature of that thing that you're doing may take on that quality. I don't know, maybe that's something that you want. Like maybe if you're planning, maybe if you're like trying to work out a situation or have a conversation where you know that something needs to be a little more fluid, you would use the moon hour. I think I covered all of them there, right? All right, cool. So, so that's in a nutshell how I use planetary hours. I want to give you a few downfalls with this system too, because I think it's important to note the pros versus the cons. The pros are that we're harmonizing with astrology in a way that's super easy and super accessible. With this, you don't even have to look at a chart to plan something according to an auspicious time. When I'm planning something that is really important, like a big event, I will look at the chart of that time, like it's an actual birth chart, like it's a birth of the thing. Or if I'm starting a creative project, I will plan an auspicious time based on the entire birth chart. And so I'll look at like the moon phase and the aspects that the planets are making and all of that. But we don't always have time for that. And it's not always very practical to do that, because life goes on. You need to plan life and do things in a way that is conducive to living in the modern world. So I find this is very accessible. It's very quick and easy. You just open the app, look at the hours. You don't even need to know the glyphs. I think I'm gonna stop the share here. All right, cool. So the downfalls though of this system is that it's not easily testable, because you can't send an email during 1 hour and then send that same exact email during another hour. It just literally doesn't work like that. And a lot of systems in psychology, especially Carl Jung's work, was like that, where it's difficult to test it in a scientific way. And that's one of the downfalls of astrology as well, as it hasn't been scientifically tested in a modern way. But What's interesting though is that astrology doesn't really resonate with that type of testing. It resonates more with synchronistic testing. So I would still encourage you to try it and to just see what you notice. And to notice what works for you, what doesn't work for you, how you feel even during different planetary hours, what kind of feedback you get. I think the other part of this too is that astrology is partly a divination practice. And so when you're doing this, you're actually doing divination. It's a form of like testing out your intuition. I find that often when I have an insight to look at the planetary hours, it usually is beneficial for me to plan it in a slightly different way. And I had like that instinct to check. So I think the essence of divination practices is they are linked with synchronicity versus causation. So they're more linked with like things grouping together in a cluster by coincidence or the divine versus an actual external cause happening. So I want to do full disclosure on that. Yeah, I'm curious how this works for you. Let me know if this makes sense to you. Let me know if you have questions about this, and let me know how it goes as you test it out. I'm really curious to hear what you think. As I said, I use planetary hours all the time, and I find it super helpful. And if there's something specific that you have a question on, feel free to post it on Patreon, and I'm happy to answer that for you as well. P.S. The reason that I'm making this video is because I reached my goal with Patreon subscribers. So I started a Patreon page under Neo-Feminine Astrology, I think last month, and I decided to set very realistic goals for myself to just get the word out. And one of my goals was to get 15 patrons at some point in time, and that has happened. So my promise was when I met that goal to make this video about planetary hours, because it's something that I don't hear a lot of people talking about and that I use a lot and I find a lot of value in it. So I wanted to share that with you. So I will be setting a new goal, and the new goal will be another video like this when I meet it. So if you're interested in learning more about astrology, or if you just like my videos and you want to show some love, you can do that on patreon.com/neofeminineastrology. And you can give as little as $1 a month, or you can join our Learn Astrology Club. And I also have opportunities for mentorship with me as well, if you're interested in that. So thank you so much for watching. I'm curious to hear how things go for you. Keep me posted. Sending lots of love, and I'll talk to you soon. Namaste.